You say you can reproduce anything. Atom bombs, poison gas, bacteria by the
but we would
billions.
never do a thing like that.
My dear, of course I knew you wouldn't.
Hammer Productions. It's a name that's synonymous with bright red blood and big round. When people hear the name Hammer Productions, they most likely think of the Hammer horror films, which were made between 1955 and 1979. Dracula, Frankenstein, and The Mummy all received brand new adaptations which took the stories in a much more explicit and shocking direction. The number of sequels the studio churned out was also kind of shocking. There are 7 Frankenstein movies and a whopping 9 in the Dracula series. By comparison, that's as many installments as the Police Academy and A Nightmare on Elm Street franchises, respectively. Most of these films were directed by former editor Terence Fisher, who had a distinct flair for gothic romance.
Hammer owes an enormous debt to Terence Fisher.
However, 2 years before he stepped behind the camera for the first installment of the Dracula series, Fisher co-wrote and directed a very different kind of film, Four-Sided Triangle. I hesitate to put this film in the same genre as Frankenstein and the Invisible Man because, despite having many of the tropes normally associated with mad scientists, this isn't really a mad scientist movie.
There's nothing much to show you in Aldine. Nothing that will bring tourists to Gape. Nothing except perhaps that old burnt-out barn. Yet it all began here, as it ended.
For starters, our main characters Bill, played by Stephen Murray, and Robin, played by John Van Eysen, aren't even slightly mad.
Well, you know Robin and his code of honor. He said he was a physicist, not a biologist.
Well, I guess you could say they're both madly in love with the same young woman, Lena, played by Barbara Payton.
To them, of course, it was a fairy castle.
This love triangle goes all the way back to their childhood. As in, 2 boys are literally fighting over who gets to kiss this girl. And she's enjoying this so much, she kinda looks like the Disaster Girl meme.
Are you, Sir Bill? I yield, Sir Robin.
He is brave Sir Robin, brave Sir Robin.
Shut up! Robin and Lena were his constant companions. Lena remained his queen, but Robin was his staunch and unfaltering friend.
Flash forward to 1950 blah blah blah. Bill and Robin are both scientists, and now that that pesky female is out of their lives, they can get back to collaborating on a machine called the Reproducer.
You might also call it a duplicator.
Which does exactly as its name implies.
This is incredible. It's an exact replica.
Eventually, Lena returns to their town, and both dudes develop feelings for her, which causes them to abandon the Reproducer as well as each other.
I'm tired of the whole Reproducer, Rob. It was fun developing it, but now I'd rather start on something new.
Congratulate us. Lena and I are going to be married.
Darling! I'm so glad. It's the most wonderful news.
Watch this, Lise. You can actually pinpoint the second when his heart rips in half. And now.
That is until Bill gets an idea. What if he used the Reproducer on Lena and made a copy of her for himself?
I found a way to make another Lena.
You'd expect there to be a kidnapping scene with lots of screaming, but no, Lena doesn't even put up much of an argument. Bill brings the duplicate to life, and this is the closest this movie comes to resembling Frankenstein.
Friend, good.
So now Bill has his very own Lena, whom he now calls Helen. Win-win, right?
She tried to commit suicide.
Well, not exactly.
Bill created me in the image of Lena. He wanted another Lena. No more, no less. He succeeded. He succeeded perfectly.
You see, the reproducer duplicated Lena exactly, which included all of her personality traits and memories since they're all stored chemically in her brain.
You didn't stop to think that I'd be born not only to think and act as Lena, but also to feel exactly as she does. Above all, in her love for Rob.
Don't hold on to her, Bill. Let her go.
Even if I did let her go, what good would it do? Don't forget there are two of them. In love with the same man.
This is our concern, dude.
Undeterred, Bill then comes up with an even more bizarre plan.
This new contraption is a modification of a treatment they use in nervous diseases. Thought is an electrical process itself. Memory is stored in the cells of the brain and can be drawn off just to draw electricity out of a battery.
To alter Helen's brain chemistry and erase her memories of Bill, then try to make her fall in love with... Do you see where this is going and how it's not going to end well?
It's all right, Robin. She's not badly hurt.
If there's one word that comes to mind when describing Four-Sided Triangle, it would be British.
I'm not very much of a hand at making a speech, but I feel that this is an occasion.
Don't you just love the way they talk? Ooh.
These characters are very reserved and polite, as if the screenwriter was afraid to write anything rude. That's not to say they're dull or badly acted, but they're more the type of characters you'd expect to find in a Downton Abbey episode rather than a tale of science gone wrong. Even the poster is a little misleading, with words like evil and lust thrown in to make it seem more lurid than it actually is. And yet, look at some of this production design. This has to be one of the coolest looking laboratory sets in the genre.
Our equipment is rather makeshift. We have to make it safe and efficient. So I suppose we need a new place and a larger source of power. And of course, the originals of the things to reproduce.
Yes, rare drugs.
Following the release of Four-Sided Triangle, Fisher and most of the cast had successful careers and long lives, except for Barbara Payton.
I came back to sell the things that Mother left behind, and it'll give me enough to live on for 3, perhaps even 4 months. And after that, I shall die in some reasonably unmessy fashion.
She would only appear in 5 more films over the following 10 years, effectively becoming unemployable due to her alcohol and drug addiction.
No work meant no money. On October 15, 1955, Barbara was arrested for passing bad checks. Her brush with the law sent Payton fleeing from Hollywood.
After becoming homeless and being arrested for prostitution, she moved in with her parents in San Diego, where in 1967 she died of heart and liver failure at the age of 39. For Hammer aficionados and classic movie buffs in general, Four-Sided Triangle might be worth a watch, but if you're expecting something scary or gory, you're going to be sorely disappointed. It's not really horror, it's not really a thriller, it's not even much of a love story.
It's a paradox, that's what it is.
This is the David S. Pumpkins of mad scientist movies. It's just kind of its own thing.